But it happens still.
That's right.
That's right. That's right. Good, good findings. Doing well. Valley Way.
You said it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice to see you. You're coming here for the positive side. Good.
And a lot more. Working in pensions.
I've been keeping me too busy. That's the good part. You guys. This was nice. Yeah, this was good.
Oh, you get to relax for the summer now. I get to prepare for fall.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I used to run a fertilizer and chemical. He says, you get your winters on. He says, when do you think we get the equipment ready for spring?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we do all winter, get stuff ready to start. It's good to see you here.
You're welcome.
Lands, guys, you felt that, you respect.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
Maybe I want to
All the shoes. It's like, I never thought about it.
Yeah, this time I went back. We'll try to look at that. Oh, yeah. Right, just, okay. Oh, yeah, which one? It's called,
So I'm sure that they were,
it's the date of.
Oh, yeah.
No, but that one. It's the date of the chemicals. Premise is, this guy, time machine, not really time machine, but this. Go back in time. Yeah.
Reminded.
So, premise is really go back. That's a lot more. Okay, but it was really good. But it was like, appreciate you guys. I don't know, $30. It was pretty all those books, but it was really enjoyable. Okay. Yeah, that really and the first one that I listened to it, I think I a long time ago. It's good on the plane too. Go sometimes. You close your eyes. Yeah, that was a good time. Definitely. You know, yeah. Awesome.
Did she use it when your skills? He's got a hat on. Excuse me. That's what she's still. Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're so good that you can find it out. Just. Oh,
yeah.
Well, it's
President Lincoln Williams.
oh, I think there's years of art to stay here. I'm very proud of it. So, but both of them are all still in school. And there's citrus in.
Oh.
No, it's good. Thanks. You mentioned it. Sally, turn your mic on.
Push, thank you. It's 6:30. Okay, that's better. You're gonna have to give us another lesson on these, okay? We'd like to welcome you to our June 5th, 2025 Planning and Zoning Meeting, 49th anniversary of the Teton Dam flood, and I'm trying to think how many of you were here that day. All right. Good, good. I guess next year's our big year with our 50th anniversary. So I'm glad we're not going through that tonight. It was hard. Okay, Vanessa is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you for that. Katie, can we go ahead and have the roll call, please?
Randall Kempton, Sally Smith,
Here.
Aaron Richards,
Here.
Jim Lawrence,
Here.
Bruce Casper,
Here.
McKay Francis, Vanessa Johnson,
Here.
Brian Thackeray, Vern Muir,
Here.
Dan Hanna,
Here.
Tammy Geddes.
Here.
Okay, thank you very much. We need a motion to approve the minutes for the May 22nd, 2025 meeting. Let's see, who was here? Okay, okay. Do we have a second to that?
I can second.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, thank you. Vanessa seconded. Okay, we have a motion that's been made and seconded to approve those minutes as written. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And we probably have some
I abstain.
abstain. Yes, okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, well, again, we will go ahead and begin. We have two public hearings tonight. Our first public hearing is 1036 McJohn Lane, and it's an annexation. This application is to annex the property into the city of Rexburg, and that's James McFarland, but I believe you're going to present, correct, Kellen? Thank you.
Check if she sent myself. Is this on?
It's there. Now I got it on. I got to listen to my own instructions, right? The property is located just north of Pine Brook in that division. And the situation is they're building a new home on this property. He needed to put a new septic system in. District 7 Public Health says you cannot replace the septic because you're within 300 feet of city sewer. So you need to hook to the city. And our requirements from the city is if you're being hooked up, we need you to annex into the city. So at this point, he is voluntold to annex into the city to meet those requirements. So any questions that you have?
That answers a lot of questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, we will now open the part of our public portion of the hearing. And anyone who would like to come up and speak about this proposal, we'll have you come forward, state your name and address, and we'll hear first of all for those that are for the proposal, then anyone who's neutral, and then anyone who's opposed. So we'll go ahead and begin right now. Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of this proposal? Go ahead and come up to the mic. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's not a school.
Oh, no, this
Not
is
yet,
this annexation. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay, anyone who would like to speak neutral to this proposal? And anyone who would like to speak in opposition?
Does IT have any?
Do we have any?
There is nobody online that has a question this time.
We're good. Okay, we will go ahead then and close the public hearing and begin our discussion. It sounds like we really don't have much choice on this matter.
Again, what was the reasoning?
Sewer failed, septic failed.
And they're within 300 feet of public city.
Public District 7 health says you have to connect if you're within 300 feet of city services. And so,
Have to connect.
yes,
Can't
they
fit
won't
in.
allow you to have a sewer permit that far out.
So is McJohn, is the main on McJohn?
John is right, has a sewer line right on it, so he's within 300 feet.
That house sets back quite a bit, because there's a double wide in front of it.
It's the property line has to go abut it. But he's still within 300 feet even from the house.
So we're spot annexing, because it looks like
No.
Reggie Townsend on the corner.
You're not spotting because you have a full border it shares with it.
I know. I understand that.
As long as it is a contiguous border to the city, then it's an annexation and not a spot annexation.
That's clear as mud. Okay.
Okay.
That's the way we like it.
Yeah.
This is for maybe some things with District 7 Glide and there's going to be quite a few properties along that's happening.
Oh.
Okay. Any other discussion?
But
You say the sewer now.
perhaps these other homes, and there's another home.
Yeah, currently it is running along McJohn, providing services to these homes along here. Rusty Townsend at the very end also. We annexed him last year because he had attached to city sewer also at that point. So it can service both sides of that road.
Annexing is if it gives running an option to change the zonings. on
He
that.
could if he wanted to, but he didn't request any change to zoning. You have a curious look, Mr. Casper?
North side.
Mhm.
You don't have to have curb and gutter along McJohn then?
No. Not until they develop will they be required to put in the curb and gutter.
Till it's developed.
Yeah, until they come in and subdivide and put in some kind of subdivision in there, where it's just a housing lot, he's grandfathered in to not have to put in the curb and gutter.
Okay.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, are we ready for a motion? Someone.
I'll make a motion we recommend to city council to approve the annexation request of 1036 McJohn Lane due to county sewer requirements and his adjacency to the existing city sewer infrastructure.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Okay, we have the motion and the second. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, our next public hearing is Jim Prep Rexburg, approximately 301 South 12th West. It's a conditional use permit. The application is to allow a school in a low-density residential LDR1 zone. And are you going to present that, or do we have the,
The applicant is actually here and he will be presenting.
okay, that would be great.
Katie, do you remember which one that's under?
Oh, no.
Oh, from where I'm at now. Okay, this one?
That one's PDF, and I believe the one right below it. I believe that's the PowerPoint, and then the one below that is PDF.
Here, no, all we need to do is click.
Members of the Planning and Zoning Commission, thank you for allowing us to come and share a little bit more about our school and a little bit about our plans here in Rexburg. I'm Jason Bransford. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of our organization.
Okay, could we get your address also?
Yes, 2150 Legacy Drive, Pocatello, Idaho.
Thank you.
I'd like to talk a little bit about first the school. This will be the first charter school in Rexburg, so I want to make sure that we're clear on a little bit about what a charter school is. Charter schools are public, tuition-free schools. So even though they're separate from the district, they are still public, they are still tuition-free, unlike private schools, for example, just so you kind of understand the difference between these two. Charter schools tend to pick a focus area. So sometimes they focus on STEM, or sometimes they focus on the Harbor method, or they have different methods of instruction. We focus on a college preparatory education. So our school is grades K through 12, but the goal is to get students as many associate's degrees by the time they leave high school as possible. And we start building a strong foundation as early as kindergarten, all the way up to make sure their students are well prepared for that experience after high school. We serve all students who are interested. And if there are more students who are interested than we have spaces for, then we hold a lottery. This would be the 9th school in our organization. All of our schools are located across the state of Idaho. Currently, if you look at the percentage of students in our current schools and other locations around the states, and we have locations in Pocatello, Twin Falls, we have 3 in Meridian, we have 1 in Nampa, we have an online school. If you look at these locations and you average what's happened in the last 3 years, about 50% of our students leave high school while simultaneously getting an associate's degree at no tuition cost to the family. So that's really the value add of our particular charter school. And every charter school that you would hear from will have a different thing that they focus on and try to do really well at. That's our thing. Our average graduate leaves high school with about $36,000 in college scholarship offers by the time they graduate. And 100% of our students earn dual college credits by the time they graduate high school. There's locations around the state that I just mentioned to you. When we open our schools, they typically open either grades K through 5 or K through 8. This campus would open grades K through 8 in the first year, and then those students would age up and become our first graduating class 4 years from their first year of attendance. So that would be the growth plan of this particular location. The way that breaks down, if you look, we would have a total of 574 students when the campus was fully grown, K through 12. But the way that breaks down is just a little over 300 of those students are in grades K through 5. About 142 are in middle school. Oops, what happened? Oh, you snuck up on me. I didn't see. I thought I was moving the mouse accidentally there for a moment. Oh, good. Thank you.
Now that everybody online can see it too.
Oh, great, great. In high school, we have about 120 students. Now, that's about 30 students per grade level, and this is going to be important in a moment with a point that I'm going to talk about. And so that totals up to about 574 students across the whole campus, grades K through 12. There's already a lot of demand in the community. We're really excited about this. We put out an interested list a little over a year ago when we started writing our charter on this campus, and we've got over 230 students who are already signed up on our interested list, and we still got about 2 years before the school would actually open. So this is a really great place to be on our interested list already. We think there's a lot of demand in the community. Given that most families aren't really thinking 2 or 3 years out often, the fact that we already have 230 shows quite a bit of demand in the community. So we're really excited about that. Gen Prep schools really have some impressive accomplishments. Our students and staff do some really amazing things. Every year when the state releases its top 10 lists on the IRI, which is a K-3 reading indicator, Gen Prep schools dominate that list. On the ISAT, which is the 3rd through 11th grade state test, Gen Prep dominates that list as well. And Gen Prep consistently dominates the graduation rate list as well, which is measuring how many students from 9th to 12th grade graduate on time. One of the things that are often misunderstood about charter schools, or at least not talked about very often in charter schools, one of the unique value propositions that charter schools bring is they don't have access to local bonds or levies. So if this school were to be approved, recommended for approval and then approved, this school would add capacity to serve students in the community without any local additional taxes. Now, typically, most school districts, when they go out to build a new school, they'll ask for bond dollars from the local school district. They'll ask for levy dollars to supplement some of the local things that they are doing. Charter schools cannot access those funds. So we think one of the value propositions is not only the academic excellence that Gen Prep offers, but the fact that you can add capacity to a growing community without any additional local tax support. We would have about 40 local full-time staff once the school were fully grown, K through 12, long-term in this community. And we raise about $5.5 million in grants to get a school launched. But because we don't have local bonds that we can get, we have to raise grant money. Now that's given dollars. That's not repayment dollars. So there are also loans that we take out on the building as well. But the reality is that we raise over $5 million for each school that we launch today. And so this is an important part of how we operate. We've tried to be good neighbors to this date. We've gone door to door talking to people about what we're doing in the neighborhoods surrounding the location for the site. We wanted to answer questions people had, do our best to address any concerns that people have, and we have talked to quite a few people, really great people that we've been able to talk to. We distributed over 100 flyers talking about the school. We've had over 250 door hangers that we've left when people weren't home. And often one of the things that people say once our schools have been up and running, we allow the community to utilize our campus. And so they do everything from movie nights, church groups sometimes meet there. We have community fairs and things of that nature that the local community can use our schools for. So we've tried to be good neighbors before getting to this stage, and we will continue to try and be good neighbors if our school is in fact approved in this community. Some people often ask, what are the school times? Typically, we start school at 8 a.m. and we end at 3:30 p.m. So sometimes people want to know based on traffic patterns or whatever else what the start and end times are. That's a typical school day for our campus. And then we have an early release on Wednesday. So you still start at 8 a.m., but you end at 1 p.m. on Wednesdays. So we recognize, this is our 9th campus that we would have. And so we recognize that one of the primary concerns that people tend to bring up is traffic. What are you doing to address traffic concerns? So we'd like to share some of the strategies that we have to address traffic concerns. And they're not all traffic strategies, but they have a positive impact on traffic. So here's some of the things that we have done. We've had a traffic study completed. It's been submitted to the city for their review. We're happy to work with city staff and take care of any recommendations that they have as we work together to address and mitigate those needs. Our campuses are K through 12. So one of the things that allows that's different and fairly unique is that families, if they want to, can bring all of their children to one location. Now, I've got 5 kids, and so in the past, I've had to bring one kid to an elementary school, one kid to a middle school, one kid to a high school. At the time, I actually happened to have a pre-K kid as well. So I was going to 4 locations every single day, or at least potentially. Some of my kids rode the bus. But the point is that K through 12 allows for a high degree of carpooling. At our current gym prep campuses, roughly 67% of children go to school with one of their siblings. So this tells you this really is a family affair, a K through 12 campus. We also offer busing at each of our locations, and we would here as well. We have substantial on-site queuing to make sure that there's not a situation in which our queuing, which is where you stack your cars up in front of the campus to have your kids picked up or dropped off, doesn't spill on to the main street. And we've got over 10 years of operating schools in our other locations to make sure that we've developed those strategies, and we've got quick tactics to make sure that if we are having traffic or issues of that nature, that we're able to address those things. So with that, I'd like to, if it's okay with the commissioners, I'd like to have our builder talk a little bit about some of the logistical pieces of this project. So.
Hi there, I'm excuse me, Bill Hadlock with Paradigm Design. We're the civil engineers on the project. We've had the privilege to work with them on multiple of their facilities.
Once again.
Yeah, my address is 415 Leonard Street, Grand Rapids, Michigan, 49504. Anyway, okay, so just touch this. I'm going to come back to this. This is kind of the detailing of what we have on the site, but I was kind of going to go through the site plan that we've put a preliminary site plan together. Kind of lays out, our program. And if you look at it, we've got our main school building in the middle, and then to the right-hand side of the screen. Oh, I guess I can use this here, right? Yeah, okay, over here. We've got a soccer field. We've got some play equipment up in here. We've got the parking pods up on the north side. We've got some parking up on the west side. Okay. I'll get into a little bit more of that. And then there's some, circulation patterns that are paved that go around the facility. We've got on-site stormwater management facilities that we're going to need to do. And we are also doing some road improvements along the frontage of 12th. We are widening the road so that it will be able to be expanded as the area grows. We're working with the city on that. That includes adding an extra lane, curb and gutter, sidewalk. We are also adding a road deeding over access, property over to the city for future expansion of a public road along the north property for future growth. Let's see, there's some irrigation canals on the west side of the property and along the south side of the property that they flow this way and then they come flow this way underneath 12th. We are going to have to relocate that ditch over to here due to the widening that we're going to do on the existing road. We've had preliminary meetings with the canal company, actually earlier today when I was in town here. So that's kind of just the general layout. As far as traffic goes on here, so we have this northern pod of parking, and that's typically used by the driving students that are, you know, your 10th, 11th, and 12th. And I'm not sure if you had mentioned that or not, but a lot of the 11th and 12th graders are actually off campus. They're not even on this site. They're not driving. So you don't have that sort of traffic coming into the facility. So that's kind of what we use this pod here. We always try to have a separate pod for student parking. It makes it easier to allow traffic in and out with pickup and students leaving. The parking pods up in here tend to be more for the staff as well as visitors during the day. This is our barrier-free parking pod right in front of the building. This is the front of the entrance, the main entrance to the school. The thing you see along the back here is where we separate our bus traffic. So Jason was talking about that. There's some busing. So the busing traffic will come in through here, and they stack and queue right here for pickup. And then this is also where they drop off, and those students enter in the back of the school. Then the main piece of the program is the dropping and picking of the students. And that's what this is trying to highlight here. You can see these blue dots, they're representing cars. And the current design we have on here will accommodate over 100 cars stacked at any one given time, which is actually more than what our on-site queuing study is suggesting. Our study is suggesting, like in the morning is at a school is really not a queuing problem, because people kind of come in, they drop them off at their own schedule. They're not really waiting for anyone to go. So it's really not when you run into traffic issues. It is in the evening when that happens, because people get there, some of them wait, you know, whether they're reading, listening to a book, whatever they're doing, waiting for their kids. Anyways, so we ran that queuing report, and we figured that we need, you know, maybe in the neighborhood of 80 parking spaces at worst case. We do this program at pretty much all their schools, and I know they don't have any issues with queuing. So our goal is to not spill out onto any of the public roadway. So if you can see, it's all self-contained. And then, yeah, I think that's about it. And how do I go back here? I just gotta hit the back button. Okay. So I just wanted to make sure I see if I missed a few things. Okay, so there's a city code requires 68 spaces, I believe. Our sweet spot is in the low 100s. Works out well. It works for our program for the school. We talked about the separate bus parent access egress paths into out of the site. Really, there's three, right? There's the student route, there's the drop and pick route, and then there's the busing route. We talked about the on-site queuing. Here's that number, 57 to 86. I think our number is about 105 is what we can get on there. I mentioned it's supposed to stay on site. I described this to you. So we're adding the sidewalk. Oh yeah, street lighting, right-of-way landscaping. So we're improving that. The city's master plan is to, you know, generate this. I don't know exactly the classification that they're planning to build on that road, but we've been working with the DPW, and you know, we're gonna do that, widen that road along there for future growth as this whole area develops. And then, as we mentioned here, or I mentioned to you, this is the information related to that northerly piece where we will build half of our road and bring down public utilities for, again, future expansion. And you know, the school's doing all that as part of their program. And I did briefly mention the relocation of the north-south irrigation, and I guess east-west as well, ditch with the Rexburg irrigation company. So I think that's what I have to present there. Let me see, and I think is there. Oh yeah, I guess there was a couple more things here. So this is the rendering of what the school will look like. You might want to see that. It's kind of their modeled school, but you can see that this gives you a flavor for kind of what it looks like. This is the gym back in here, and different wings, and the main entrance of the building up in here. This is our construction timeline. Jason mentioned that a little bit. So, you know, we're going through this, you know, hopefully getting approval for the CUP. We plan on continuing to work through our site due diligence and working with the DPW and the irrigation company for the rest of this year. hopefully trying to get in, for permits, later this year and starting, construction, the summer of next, opening the summer of, or the 2027, school year. This is a lot of things you can see here, the lottery registration, the hiring process, when that'll be, and then the start would be the, as I mentioned, the 2027 school year. So. All right, well, thank you. I think that's our presentation.
Okay,
Okay.
does anyone have any commission or questions on the commission for the applicants? Well, yeah, up here, because I have a couple. Is the school, is it year-round school? Or what are the operating months?
No, our schools typically run 9.5 months out of the school year. So
So the same, basically.
somewhat similar to the local school districts.
Okay, and then, so what actually is the size of the anticipated building?
The size of the building.
45,000 square feet, and
45,000.
it's on about, I think we're buying about 13 acres. We have to deed over a fair amount of that to the city to get the right of way, and I think it's on about 11 acres, I think, is about what
Yeah.
the program.
Okay, and then, and I did want to just mention to you that the Madison School District also does allow students to get an associate's degree when they graduate. That's been a great program so, for a long time. I think you answered a lot of my questions. Where are the high school students that you say they're not on campus?
Yeah, so our 11th and 12th grade students tend to take mostly college level courses. And so they either take them online, which they can do from home, or they could come to our campus, but most don't, or they go to the actual college campus, which we have a fair number of students, typically seniors, would want to go on some college campuses. But if you look at the split, roughly 70% of our students who take college level courses in 11th and 12th grade, they just take them online. They find that they're more convenient, but they can take them in person at that college. But they actually rarely come on our campus. Occasionally they'll come for a meeting, or if they need some help and support, they'll come to our campus. But most of our 11th and 12th graders, which is about 60 of those students, so most of our students don't drive up until 11th grade anyway. So most of our student drivers actually don't come to our campus very often.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else with some questions?
Yeah, with the canal there, what kinds of things are being done to protect that from the students getting into the canal, the safety of that issue right there?
We've got, fencing, site fencing and control, and it's more than just, this is the canal, but there's also the stormwater management basins that we're putting out there. So, yeah, we have that on a lot of the facilities and we try to secure that, not allow them to have access to that.
And then my other question, and maybe this is for Alan too, is with the school there, are you guys responsible for the school zone signing? Are you guys putting that in? Is the city putting that in? Will it be according to MUTCD or will it be random like we've got around the rest of the city?
Study generates what we ask them to put in there, whether it's requiring a school zone, that will all come back to when they analyze the TIS and go from there.
Yeah, all the off-road improvements are coming at our design and our construction, whatever they may be, the widening and the signage and such. But
okay, thank you.
Tammy.
So okay, is that it? All right. So could you go back to the map for a moment? I think I was.
The site?
The site map. Okay, so the busing, you have the busing coming in off of 12th
Right,
and going around. Where does it exit?
right through, back out through here.
Okay, so the dark that comes around that curve still continues straight over to the,
So
Or
they'll
do they
come
go back?
in and
Okay.
they'll,
show me.
So, yeah, okay, so in the morning, again, this line will not be nearly like this in the morning. They'll just be coming and dropping when they can. But the school buses, what they'll do is they'll come in here, come around the back, and then they drop back in here. That's what they do.
And then when they leave,
Oh, you do storm.
They go right back to 12.
Then they go back right out here.
the straight
Come
straight
up.
back out to 12th.
That's correct.
So,
Yes.
so both of them are in and out at 12th. And then your top, I can't remember what you called them, pods.
Yeah.
Are they coming in on that street and going out on that street, still on 12th, but in a separate spot?
That's correct.
And so as people come to pick up their kids, they can come at that busing where the buses come in as well, same place?
That's where they enter.
That's where they
They
enter?
enter, and then they queue around here, come in.
And then
Here.
do they-
Pick up pods of 6, that's how they do it. They've got six vehicles at a time at a different station. And then
Okay,
when they exit, they come out here.
okay, so come in on one side, go out the other side.
That's correct.
All right, in an effort to help mitigate this traffic.
It works well, yeah,
Right.
because the buses, when the timing of them and then when they load, then they take off this way. The buses and the traffic has already been queued up. As well as here, you're going down to a single lane, 6 cars being released randomly, and then they merge right in here as need be. And then they can proctor it right here if they need to depending on the timing. But a lot of times this is all going here and the older kids aren't leaving until after this kind of clears out. So.
Okay, and so then when we're widening the road on 12th,
Mhm.
the road will be widened prior to like south of the buses, where the buses come in and where,
Yeah, so
like
we have
all of that whole line?
all the way from our south property line, all the way to our north property line, we
Okay.
will be widening, and then we will taper up into match. We have to still figure out that taper length with the city, but they will taper that out in both directions.
Okay, so if I'm understanding correctly, people who are on 12th West who are coming off to the school will be merging off and merging on to 12th with that wider lane. Is it that kind of idea?
Yeah, that's kind of how it would work.
Does that,
You'd probably end up with a turning lane in the center.
in the center? Okay, but to mitigate that traffic, we're widening that so that they can kind of merge to the spot. And yes, okay, thanks.
That's all what the traffic impact study will tell us what it needs for the number of traffic trips. It will come back and say, here's what you need to put in, and then we ask them to put that in.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, it's substantially larger. I mean, it's not doing it very justice on this, but the existing asphalt ends here and we're gonna pull it all the way back into here. So you're adding like a whole nother lane along the entire frontage. It's similar, if you go north, I think there's a church up there, right? That they did it on their side, right? So that's, when you start getting them across the street, then you're gonna have, that's gonna be a really nice road section as everything, in the future, as it develops.
So anybody else have any questions? Okay, I've got one. Oh, go ahead, Brian. I've got one more question.
Has it been looked at all? Because I know you're in very close proximity to both the high school and Burton. If there's going to be any, like, if you're holding an event same time that they are holding events, that might bog down the area too much, or is that something that will be addressed later?
Yeah, go ahead. No.
Because our schools are relatively small compared to, say, Madison High School or even local middle schools, our events by numbers are not anything compared to what a local football game or even basketball game. Like, we do have a middle school basketball team, but with less than 150 students in our middle school, you can imagine that the number of people at our activities is significantly smaller. In our existing locations, we rarely have a situation where we are filling our parking lot or filling our school after the hours. So while they exist, the reality is they're rare that we have events big enough to have a significant impact on anything, really.
Yeah, the only concern that I had, because I had kids that did pre-K at Burton, and they do family nights, and that gets really busy sometimes. And then just because all the schools are kind of lumped together, if there's ever a perfect storm of a third of the city all in one corner at one time, if that was going to be an issue at all.
I do see that because our school is K through 12. Now you can imagine we've got 52 kindergartners, we've got 52 first grade. So what we tend to do is when we have back to school night, for example, we actually stagger it elementary versus secondary. And we actually don't do it for traffic reasons, but it helps with traffic issues. But we do it so that we can manage the flow of people in the building, make sure everybody's had the opportunity to meet. We're relatively small compared to most schools. And so the idea is to make it feel like a family, feel like an environment where every parent can come in, have their questions answered, have their concerns addressed, and, leave, and then the next group can come in. So it's pretty rare that we have issues with this, but if we did, certainly we could coordinate with the local district and make sure that there's not a significant negative impact.
Okay.
Yeah, Alan, he put this aerial up here so you can see kind of, this is kind of what we'll have on our side, right? So this is that, you look, here's the edge of that existing lane, and this is the widening that is happening. So yes, this is how that area would serve as your acceleration, deceleration. I'm not sure why they didn't taper it up in here, but we're planning on doing more of a taper that comes in there. But this gives you an idea of the scale and kind of something that's already happened just north of our site if you haven't been out to the site. Oh, yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, this is just, that's right. So it's happening out there, right? Different places.
Okay, any other questions from commissioners?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we will go ahead then and I don't, am I on or not? Open the public portion over here.
Did you want to do staff report first?
Oh, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay.
We do
Thank
have
you,
that.
Sally. Just to give everybody an idea of where this is located, most people here probably know. Valley-wide is located right here. So you're coming down the road, and this is the parcel that is being discussed. They are looking at the front portion of this property to actually place this school in. So that gives you an idea. And as he was stating, this just gives you a visual of what they're going to have to do on their side. And it's only on their side that they're widening. They're not touching the other side. That stays the way it is until that side develops. So that's all you've got going on there. You got to share the screen.
Alan,
Yes.
when you say a portion of that property, what is gonna happen to the east end of that? It's between that and the freeway.
At this point, I don't know.
Okay.
There are people looking at it, but we have had no applications of anything.
Parcel split.
They'll have to split it at that point so that there's a separation in that. Doing it, so. Staff has reviewed this. As was stated, they're gonna have to hook to city sewer and water. There is sewer and water along 12th West. They have the capacity to service the school and all its needs. Traffic impact study was required. They have completed that. It's been turned in. All of that will have to be reviewed before building permits are issued if this is approved. So that's all part of that process in moving forward. Staff, they meet all the requirements to qualify for a CUP. And so we would recommend you to recommend to city council for approval. And any questions that you guys have? I did have one thing. I know the traffic has been a major concern on 12th. Just for people's information, you come down here on University. This road is being extended to 3,000 this year. The county is working on that or going to be working on it. It may not get paved until spring, but they're doing that, which will alleviate a lot of the pressure from the high school so that people can go this way to get to Burton, even into Hibbard and different places like that. So that should address some of the traffic congestion that happens there. I see it as a great outlet for the bus system. Now they all don't have to bounce back down 12th and crowd that. So that's just something to keep in mind, because I know, Brian, you asked about the traffic. It's always an issue. It was brought up about signage. If required, speed limits will slow down, whatever we need to protect the children, pedestrians, and the public. If it's needed, they will do what they need to do in there. So, and that would be the city requiring it to be done. And we do the signage anyways in those situations. Okay.
Okay, any more questions? Staff then. Go ahead, Tim.
So on the road that's coming, I know it's a road question again. On the road that's coming to the south there, we see the red line. We've got the blue line, then to the red line south of, yes, that's the canal, right?
The canal does run along there, yes.
So will the road continue out from there along that canal eventually?
It may. We
don't know yet. It's not looked
I
at
would
yet.
assume not, unless they took that canal out, because Summerfield has built right up to the back of this canal.
So it'd have to be on the other side
It
if
would have to be.
if it did happen.
And at
Okay.
this point, it wouldn't be a requirement because we have a 660-foot minimum that we have to have for those. The center road coming down through this subdivision, if it reaches a point that that's redeveloped, then that would be your next road, not along here.
Okay,
And then your
okay.
other one would be on the north side of that property.
So it's going to T at that point of them coming out of their.
Where they
plate.
come out
It
of
won't
theirs.
be across the street or T.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, future, we don't know if this one gets corrected and straightened. We don't know. It just all depends on if they come in and property owners get together and make it so a road can come right here and connect into that. That's future dependent on ownership, if they decide to do that.
Well, and Alan, just to clarify, there's no obligation to continue the road,
None.
right? It's just to provide access to the residual land in the
Correct.
tract. Yeah.
Yeah, they have to show connectivity
Yeah.
back to this one. And that's their requirement. Whoever develops back in here, they're going to have to look at finding connectivity to the north and to the south for future development. And they just have to build to their property line. They don't have to build into the neighbors.
I have one more question, Sally.
Sure.
So I know earlier we talked about the 7th South overpass coming, but it was with a grant and is on hold at the moment. Is that still true?
Yeah, currently that one is in limbo. We don't know if it's one of those that's going to get pulled.
Okay.
But that was just to study and to design the overpasses. It wasn't to build them.
Oh, it was a study. It wasn't
Just
to
a-
build yet.
Yeah, they were studying it and finding the best construction method to build, whether they do overpass, going over the freeway or taking the freeway over 20.
Okay.
20 over 7th.
Over 7. Okay.
Yeah. So
Which
the-
would alleviate traffic as well if
It
that
would.
were to come to
Correct.
fruition. Okay.
Yeah, because when that happens, then 7th South will then be built out to a wider road and we'll be able to handle more traffic. Will alleviate a lot of the trouble coming along Burton and that. That's the planning the city has for future roads. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we will now open the public part of the hearing. Same thing again. Anyone who would like to speak needs to come to the mic, state your name and address. And we ask you to be respectful and to also, only take 3 minutes. That's our maximum. And if somebody else has already said what you believe, we listen to that. So, okay, we'll go ahead and we'll hear from anybody who is in favor of this proposal to come forward.
Really quick, Sally, just a reminder. So again, I think it's important because sometimes these turn into a kind of a Q&A with the applicant. The applicant isn't required to directly, have a Q&A session here. We need to keep the record clean. If they choose to ask a question, they can, again, whether they want to kind of have a list of some of the questions, concerns brought up, and then they'll have an opportunity to rebuttal. Again, if there is any direct question that you want to answer, I would just request just again for Katie, our wonderful note keeper over there, who it makes her job a lot easier to have it into the mic so we can keep a clear record moving forward and a record for city council as it moves forward.
Okay, and we also have some people online, I understand. Is that correct?
I'll go first because I'm nervous. I'm Emily Park. My address is 654 Rolling Hills Drive, Bright Green Door, if you drive by. I have lived here for 16 years. I'm a mother of 5 girls, and I can't really explain why I'm here other than my mom heart really believes in charter schools. We came from Idaho Falls. I won't go on and on about our hard experiences here, but I have been shocked. I'm a substitute teacher in the district, and I just went back to school to get my bachelor's so I can be a little elementary school teacher. And studying the gifted and talented program and seeing and working with it in depth and with some of the wonderful teachers we have in Madison has shocked me. We have forgotten children on both sides. I had a 4th grader reading at a college level that was just left to pasture. I've had kids so advanced in math that they eat up their college credit but don't have a direction. And it's just not organized for these kids. And then you have the lost kids on the other side. So I would love to see this charter school come because it takes care of both sides of those outliers. The gifted program, I've worked with some of the people closely and they are trying to fix it. It's a big monster. And I think this is the answer. So just really wanted to come and shout the good. I think there's a lot of misconceptions with charter school. I think people think that it will cost them and it comes in and it's a hard thing. And it's just been such a positive experience for me. With White Pine, I was a founder on the board in Idaho Falls and had my kids go there for years. And we have had some really shocking experiences here where it's a family community where I feel like this is, we felt more of a family community in this charter school because the parents that were bringing their kids to this school choosing to come, they felt like they had a choice and they put in and they made the effort to make it a better community. So a lot of things in play there, but especially the gifted and talented program in this town has been a worry. And the kids, my kids honestly have done great, but we have seen a lot of kids fall after they get out of the AIM program because there's no scaffolding in those older grades. One more point, we do have an associate's offered in the high school here, but it cuts you out every other social activity. So my very smart kids really don't have the time to do it if they want to do with choir, band, anything else. It cuts them out of that. So they've chosen not to do that and just get college credit on the side instead. But it's it's not organized as well. And we've had a school counselor tell us, do not do that program. It disserves the children. So we're hoping that the organization that comes with this charter school is better laid out and can provide that associates while also not killing their social. And that's been personal experiences as well. So thank you. Any questions?
Okay. Okay, anyone else would like to speak in favor?
My name is Alexis Jones. My address is 149 North 12th West. I moved here 3 years ago from Chicago. We were a downtown high-rise family who our kids went to a K through 12 private school, ironically called GEMS, World Academy. We loved the benefits of a K through 12 school for our kids, and we moved here for opposite. We took our kids from a giant city and a very small school into a small town with gigantic schools that were incredibly overwhelming for them. Rexburg is growing. Even since I got here 3 years ago, I'm the vice president of the PTO at the junior high, and we have new kids coming in. Even within the first 2 weeks of school this last year, there were 50 new kids. The population growth is 0.49% right now, which seems small until you do the numbers, and it's 2,000 people a year coming into Rexburg, and our schools are full. The junior high added on, still full. Everybody's full. Having a place where we could send the extras, which whatever that means, from every grade is going to be a cheaper and faster way to solve the problem than building multiple new schools for the whole town for the growth that we're experiencing. Speaking of the gifted program, my son just finished the 6th grade gifted program and we had the graduation, and the kids were asked to finish the sentence, "One thing I will remember about AIM." And the one that broke my heart the most was the 11-year-old boy standing up there who said, "The thing I will remember most about AIM is for the first time in my life, I felt like I belonged." Knowing he's about to go into a junior high where he will not belong. We spend a lot of time trying to figure out things for these kids to make them belong. We've opened up clubs through the PTO. We're trying to help them find a place. We spent all of March making it fun to try and combat suicide. We've not always won, including this last school year. These kids, when there are too many of them, they get lost. And it's a vulnerable time. It's a scary time. I get scared for my own children going through it. My daughter's just finishing the junior high, and she had an experience that was pretty good socially, but academically, there wasn't space for her in the gifted classes. Every time that she tried to get into one, they would say, "Oh, you had to have signed up last year," like in the first year. And she said, "Well, I didn't live here last year." And they said, "Well, you'll have to wait a year." And then when she tried to get in the next year, they said, "Oh, you can get in the first half, but not the second half." So we don't have really a gifted program for the number of students that we have that goes K through 12. Idaho State requires that we have that, and we don't right now. And it seems like Gem Prep could fill that need for us. Also, the fourth graders have been asked to leave the middle school, the AIM program there, and will now be moved to a different elementary school. They're just having a hard time finding space for a program for the kids that need something different. Excuse me, sorry. With the Idaho State School Choice Program that passed in March, every homeschooling family, which in our community there are quite a few, will now be able to take their $5,000 and go to a private school if they want. A way to keep that money in our community is to have another public school option where these kids can go. Because I've talked to a lot of people who are already looking, knowing they can get that portion of a tuition paid for. That's all they needed. Their kids were already out of the public school system because they didn't feel like there was a place for their child. A lot of people in this town are looking for a place for their child. One thing that I really like about this town is that it has this sense of community. Rexburg does sports well, it does music well, it does these things that some other schools I've seen have not done well. In a small private school, you don't get anybody but your private school. So the sports are very tiny, your music program is very tiny. One thing about a charter school is the kids can still be part of those programs. They can go to the music classes in the public schools, they can be part of the sports teams, they can stay part of their own community and not have to feel like they are completely alienated from the friends that they've had just because they needed a different schooling experience. Overall, I feel like the things that I've seen in Rexburg have been so amazing, but the schooling for my kids has been hard because Idaho is just behind in education. And Rexburg, usually when they say Idaho, they mean Boise, and Rexburg is behind Boise. And this could give us a chance to have a school that could run ahead. And even for those kids who are behind and need more assistance, my son is autistic, and we put him in a private school because we knew he needed more help. And putting children who need more help in a school that can help them helps them flourish. And we can send out of Rexburg kids who know where they're going and what they're doing. And we had kids coming out of our school in Chicago who were amazing at what they were doing academically, but were not kind at all. And Rexburg is kind. And I just think if we could combine the kind kids of Rexburg with educated kids, we can change the world.
Thank you so much. Okay. Anyone else who would like to speak in favor?
Hello, my name is Ryan Turner. I live at 154 South 3rd, apartment 2101, Rexburg, Idaho. I just lived here. I moved here back in January to attend school at BYUI. And so I really like this community. I really like Gem Prep as well. I know when I was back in high school, I really wish I actually was able to attend Gem Prep. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to just because I was slightly older than the school, and so I wasn't able to join their schooling. But I knew I wanted to join it because of the success I've had, the success in preparing them for school, and for most importantly for college. I mean, when I started college, I just had my basic knowledge from when I was back in high school. I had my GPA and my ISAT scores, and that was about it. And I've kind of had to learn along the way, dealing with everyday life, school, and just trying to make it work. But Gem Prep sets them up for that. They start them as young as they can and work their way up. And when they're graduating, they can have an associate's degree. And that's something I wish I had. I had to graduate with just what I had. I went on my mission and then came home and I was like, all right, time to figure things out. But Gem Prep sets them up for that success. I know I've talked to a lot of people on campus about Gem Prep, and a lot of them are newlyweds about to have kids, and they want to join. They are so eager to join because how all the great things and just how they can set their kids up for success. But I just genuinely believe that Gem Prep is just a better school in general. It can definitely help kids learn more and just get the things that they need. That's really all that I got to say. Thank you for letting me come up.
Mitch. Anyone else in the audience that would like to speak in favor? Do we have anybody online that would like to speak in favor of the proposal?
Yes, ma'am. User 823659 has several questions.
Can you hear?
Yes, I just have a question about the moving of the ditch. We have water rights on that canal and ditch, and I want to make sure that access isn't affected. That was just kind of skimmed over the top of. So I'd like a little more detail about that, please.
The canal, they will work with the canal company to make sure that all water rights continue to be supplied to those that have them. So it will not interfere in any way with water rights being delivered.
But you don't have any more details about that?
No, because they haven't worked it out yet until they get the CUP and move forward. They visited with the canal company today. And as they get approval to move forward, if that's granted, then they will sit down with the canal company and work out the timing, when it needs to happen, what needs to be done to make sure that the people that own shares in the canal will be able to receive those. They will not be interrupted.
Okay, all right. Then I also had a question about, like, is there special ed opportunities at that school? Like, I know they talked about gifted, but what about the opposite end of special ed, like speech and the learning disabled community and things like that? Are those options that are available to them?
Are they available?
Go ahead and answer that. That's
Yeah, just stand there at that podium.
a good question.
Yes, we do have special education programs at our school. If you look at across the state, roughly about 10% of our students, an aggregate of all the Gem Prep schools together, are special education students. So yes, we do have that program.
Thank you.
So does that encompass speech and as well as academic?
Yes, ma'am. That encompasses the full spectrum of special education services, including speech and other academic needs.
Okay. And then it was briefly discussed about the music programs. You don't offer those there. If kids are interested in them, they have to go to the public school?
Actually, we do offer speech programs. They are extracurricular programs. So we have depending on the campus, each campus tackles this a little bit differently. Sometimes they'll have an elementary music program. Sometimes they'll have a middle and high school program. Sometimes the campus that I'm at on a fairly often basis in Pocatello, they have a K through 12 music program. So they do have a program. It's not a part of the regular instructional day, but it is an extracurricular program that we have available and pretty high participation in it.
Okay. All right. That answers all my questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else online that would like to speak in favor of the proposal?
Yes, David Higginson also has several questions.
Could we have your address? Did we get the name? Okay, could we get
my address is 1120 Greenwillow Drive, so I'm about half a mile south of the proposed location.
And could we get your name again, please? We didn't hear it.
First name is David, last name Higginson, Higginson.
Okay, thank you. And okay, go ahead.
I sent in several comments and haven't received any responses to those. You know, as I read the comments that were posted online, the letters that were written to you, at least 90% of those were concerned about the traffic on 12th West and the addition of 200 or 300 cars to that traffic. I believe that this school is an excellent addition to the city of Rexburg, and I wholeheartedly support it. But I do not believe that the location that they picked is a good location. You know, 12th West is a very, very, very busy street. You know, when the high school gets out, when people come to pick up their children at Burton Elementary, it can be very impacted. I believe that we need to have the streets and the roads fixed before this is approved. I appreciate the mitigation that the planners have put together, but I believe that we need to get the entire 12th West road program corrected before we move forward with a project like this. 200 or 300 additional cars on that street is just going to be a nightmare, nothing short of that. And I hope the Planning and Zoning Committee, who I have served on a Planning and Zoning Committee in the past, understands that we need to send a no recommendation to the city council on this project until the road problem is resolved.
Okay, so you're for the school, but against the current proposal then? Okay,
That is correct, yes.
thank you.
Yes, I think the school is a great idea. I just don't think that's a good location for it. If one of the comments I put is if the city would approve the expansion of 12th West to 4 lanes, including curb and sidewalk, and cover that ditch, we would be talking a different story. We need to get the horse before the cart, not the other way around. Let's get the roads fixed before we approve an additional 300 cars. At the same time, the elementary and high school traffic is already on the road.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else who would like to speak in favor of the proposal, either here or online? Okay, seeing none, anyone who would like to speak neutral to this proposal, go ahead.
Brent Harris, 1125 Woodison Lane, Rexburg. I just mainly have questions, a lot of it from an engineering standpoint. It seems like, and this might be for Alan, the conditional use permit should probably not be issued till the traffic study's approved, the irrigation canal company are on board. That seems logical, but I don't know what the process is. That's one question. You mentioned that it was funded by grants. How can you guarantee those grants for the future?
Go ahead. Just make a running list of questions. Let's do it that way.
Okay. You said you would relocate both canals. The north-south canal would obviously go to the east. Where would the east-west canal go? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That should be resolved, I would think. Have you purchased this property from the Birches? That's another question.
And the applicant can choose which.
Okay. Those are my main questions. I kind of like Mr. Higginson. I think it's a great idea. I don't have any problem with it, and I don't necessarily have any problem with it being at this location. But I also think that some of these issues need to be resolved prior to giving a conditional use permit.
You do understand
That's kind of a difficult section of.
that the staff has reviewed all this and all those things would have to be, that staff has, reviewed this. And so all of those things that you're talking about have to be resolved before they were able to go ahead with the project.
But would they have to be resolved prior to giving the permit?
Well, apparently, go ahead, Spencer, help us with that.
Anyway.
The nature of conditional use permits, again, is there are conditions that this committee can put on, but then there are conditions that staff require. And so again, the nature of conditional use is if those things are not required, then it is pulled. To require them to do these things and to put that expense even before we can give them a conditional use permit, it's a regulatory taking. And so again, the applicant is taking a risk here because at any point, there's even case law that says that city staff can modify some of those things as problems arise. But again, these are individuals who have worked through these issues before. I think they've had, again, I tip my hat to Alan, to Kyle, all others in staff. It is a very collaborative effort, and there is things that are discussed, problems mitigated before we come to this process. But again, that continues on through the life of the project. Again, to any of the specifics, I'll defer to Alan on which conditions we have there. We have a listed set, but more that can, again, this body has the power to place some provisions that are set by ordinance. And again, if the committee has any questions about what specifically they can place per Idaho statute, I'm happy to answer those questions.
I think there's some fairly significant issues that need to be resolved, mainly the traffic, the canals. It's kind of a difficult piece of property because it's lower than the road. And I just think those things should be resolved prior to issuing the permit. But again, I'm not against the concept. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else neutral to the project? Hello there.
Commission. My name is Vince Haley. I live at 2309 West 960 South here in Rexburg. I live close to where the applicant is proposing. An unpopular opinion I have is that there is not a traffic problem. I am not necessarily in favor of the applicant because I don't have any experience with the charter school. I've only gone to public schools. My children have only gone to public schools. So I can't necessarily speak in favor of the applicant or the application. But my opinion is 12th West does not have a traffic problem except for 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes a day. If we look at traffic studies on 12th West, which you're all allowed to know, and I'm sure Alan has those numbers or Keith has those numbers pretty well, 12th West is designed to be a thoroughway, right? We know that there's going to be a lot of traffic. And in talking with my wife about this, I said, if it wasn't in this particular location, where would you put it in town? And we didn't come up with a better answer, right? And so I think we need to be mindful, knowing that 12th West is going to be a busy way. That's why, and I can appreciate Mr. Higginson comments. However, Mr. Higginson, I do not want to pay for 12th West to be built out. And so I think that is why it's designed the way it is, that the applicant pays for their portion and city, sooner or later, the city will come through and finish what's left. I think some of those points need to be made and understood to people that have those concerns. But again, I'm not necessarily in favor because I don't have the knowledge of it, but I'm not necessarily against it because I think there's worse neighbors to have in that area. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else neutral to the proposal?
With your permission, can I speak from there so I can use the mouse and point? Okay, how do I slide to the right so you can see the end of our street? There you go. Oh, zoom back in.
Is that good? Or do you want to see to the end?
That's good.
Give them your name and your address.
And I'll do that happy stuff. My name is Leon Parson. I live in 298 South 12th West. That's my house. That's our shed. That's our landscaping, the driveway, our fence. We've lived on this street and this house for 40 years. In the process, we were at Farm to Road Market House, Farm to Market Road. We have been whittled off in our front yard and our property twice. I used to have a head gate built with rocks that one of my sons did for an Eagle project. That when they did the road, they sawed off our driveway, cement driveway. It was stamped with brick, simulated brick. And where the head gate was, they put a manhole. I can no longer use that head gate to water my our garden. We used to use a garden. Okay, now back to this. So I have some real strong feelings right now about the street itself being widened, because like I said, that sidewalk right there is going to take out the shed and 21 feet or more of my front yard, including that pasture. Now, this is our pasture, it's our land, and I acknowledge that I'm deaf. I have to read lips. I have a cochlear implant, so I was not able to hear all that was said. I did see the pointer come over here and do some things, and I heard the word I think depends on the owner of this property. Well, that's our property. Now the question so you just know now, personally, that's Leon. I think the school's a great idea. I truly do. My wife, Kathy, is so opposed because of traffic. And so our house is divided. And I agree her point, because I am so uncomfortable with what's been discussed. We've been talking about this road for 4 years. It all started, we were going to build a garage. I'm a painter, and in our 51 years of marriage, we've had 3 garages. All 3 of our garages have been turned into art studios. And I'm to the point in my life, I'm saying, I'm really tired of shoveling snow off my car so I can drive it anywhere. We need to build a garage. Now, that's what we said 4 years ago.
We want you to keep doing that.
And so, but the problem came when, we're told, okay, if Kartchner or Summerfield, because they have stubs going into this, and if they get through here, we're going to be inundated with traffic this way, as well as this way. So that's why Kathy's, I can't think of an appropriate adjective to describe how much anxiety she is going through virtually every day for the last 3 years. Now, this really was almost the camel breaking back straw. But let me go with some questions. I saw so there's a road coming in here, and then there's a road exiting here. Is that correct? Did I understand that? So how are we going to have a road here with the bridge? How are you going to have a road with the bridge over the canal? And does this road do it? I don't know what was said depending on the owners of this property. I don't know what that was referring to, because I'm the owner. So do you know
Ask him, go ahead.
Yeah.
That was just discussing future, if somebody chose to. If you chose to sell it or you chose to develop it, then that road may develop it. Nobody's going to force it. Nobody's going to take that away.
Well, it's just an entrance here and an exit here, period.
Correct. That's all they're doing.
Okay.
And they're only building on the east side of the road.
All
They're
right.
not doing anything on yours.
That's good to know.
Okay.
I will say something. I am so excited. I mean, you have no idea to think that at least we're looking hard at 7th South. It would open up a bottleneck so well, so when that was mentioned, my heart just did flip-flops. Yes. Because we used to go to church there. We used to go down here, turn across from 7th South, go to church and come back. And now we had to go clear around, and you can't see it on the mouse. Okay. Those are good. Those are good answers to the question. So I'm for the school if we can solve traffic.
And again, I think
Kathy is possibly for the school if traffic can.
so that's why you're up here in the neutral area, right? 1 for, 1 against.
You'll have to tell me what she said.
Okay.
Okay, good. Thanks so much for your time.
Okay,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you. Okay. All right. Okay. Anyone else neutral to the proposal? Okay. Anyone who is opposed? Go ahead and come forward and speak. Okay. Anyone online that would like to speak in opposition to the proposal?
No further questions.
All right. Good. Okay. All right, we do have written a correspondence which we have all had access to, so all of you have looked at that, I'm assuming. Okay, all right. Okay, we will go ahead and close the public. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, man. Yeah. I'm sorry, what else besides, what'd you say?
You can close it
And then the rebuttal, that's what, okay, all right, okay, I was doing it right. Okay, we will close the public portion of the hearing and we will give the applicant a chance for any rebuttal.
There was one academic in nature question that I thought would be helpful to a grant. There was a question about the grant funding and how that's guaranteed. So just to be clear, we raise grant funding for one-time expenses, things like getting the facility off the ground, things like purchasing furniture, curriculum, technology, things that are one-time expenses, or at least they last several years. And then what we get funding from the states called ADA funding, average daily attendance funding, for the ongoing expenses of educating the students. So as a public school, we get state tax revenue dollars that come into our school to educate the kids long-term. If you enroll a student, you get the funding. So there's no question about long-term funding of the school, and all the grant dollars that I mentioned in the question that was posed about the grant dollars are for the one-time startup expenses. It is expensive to start a school. That's why we raise the money. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just going to address the one question on the canals. The only canal we're relocating is the north-south, and we're moving that to the east. If I said that we were relocating the south canal, I misspoke. We're not doing anything with that other than reworking where the north canal comes into that south canal and how it crosses under the street, because we'll be widening the street. My intention of saying the canals is we were dealing with two canals, but we're not touching that south canal. Matter of fact, I believe that south canal is where we're going to end up getting our water rights from when we get to that point. And we'll work with the canal company to get those permits, work with their design, and when we get to that point. Thanks.
Okay, any conflict of interest among commissioners? Okay, all right, we will discuss now the proposal.
I'll jump in there, Sally. Alan, you can correct me, but I think in the 4 years I've been on the P&Z, this is the fifth public hearing on this tract.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought. And Vince, I appreciate your comments because I feel very strongly. I rented a townhouse in Summerfield. I went speed limit on 12th West for 6 months. So, I mean, I understand there's vehicles on it, but it's functioning as a collector roadway. I just have to say this. We live in a community that does not approve bonds, right? We barely approved the 2022 Madison 321 bond that is desperately needed for our growth. So I don't support the idea that Rexburg is going to put roadway infrastructure bonds out and the public is going to support that. The method that has worked in almost the entirety of the United States, as properties develop, those properties put in the permanent infrastructure. So I don't see any need to change that methodology. I feel like I have a little bit of experience regarding what we're talking about. My wife has started 2 private schools when we lived in Dallas. One of them with Glenn and Tanya Beck, Founders Academy. Private schools are expensive, and there's an immense burden, even once you get them set up, to then get scholarships in place. Charter schools is a sweet spot. It really is. And this is exactly what our community needs. The location works perfectly fine. We're on a major collector. It's not nestled inside a community with smaller rights of way. I'm completely in support of recommending this to council.
Any other comment?
Yeah, I agree with Aaron and just from my experience as well as a transportation engineer, we're not anywhere near capacity yet on that road. There are cars that drive it, like you said, but there's plenty of capacity and the city's not gonna. I mean, the people of the city are not going to pay for it. It has to happen through development. So, yeah, I'm in favor of this too.
Brian?
So as I brought up earlier, my only fear was when we were at maximum capacity, because my wife has done performances at the high school and I've had kids go to Burton. And I noticed that sometimes the road does get a little inconvenient to use, but it never is unruly. So I was just wondering if there was any preparations to handle that. And it seems like having the two additional accesses to 12th will mitigate a lot of that, having traffic flow in and out at different places to help make it easier. So my concerns going into this have been addressed kind of. I'll be interested to see how it's handled moving forward, but I'm ready to recommend the proposal as well.
I also think that with the road being punched through in front of the high school, that's gonna
fix a
for
lot of it.
events, that's gonna change a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, and I feel too, through the presentation, a lot of my questions were answered, and I appreciate that very much. You really explained it well and, made us understand, which I really do appreciate that. It was very good.
I think they have a good idea, a good plan of like traffic flow. No, closer to me. It's on, it just has to be closer. The flow of traffic and how they mitigate the timing as cars come in and out. I feel like that will help too, widening the section. Adding the lane there and widening it. I think it will be able to help mitigate a little bit of the traffic that people are concerned about. But I think it's a great idea.
Anyone else that would like to have any discussion points? You good? Okay. Are we ready for a motion?
I would like to. Oh, yes, you want that on? I want to be quiet. I would like to move that we recommend to the city council that they approve the application of Gem Prep Rexburg at approximately 301 South 12th West, that they approve that proposal if all legal problems or ramifications are complete.
Conditional use permit.
Conditional use.
And a conditional use permit. I'm sorry.
I think so.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we recommend this to city council. Any further discussion on the motion?
Sally, I have one just clarifying question. So when he says legal question, is he saying that conditions that staff may place upon or requirements that staff, is that what you're saying, Bruce?
That all things talked about the canal and the road.
Okay.
And those are
Are-
conditions, yes. Okay, all right, okay. Just state that as conditions.
No, that clarified my
The
question.
big concern was the relocation of the canals.
Right.
And it was said here prior tonight that they have been talking to the canal company, but
Yes.
have not firmed anything up because this meeting had not been held yet.
Yep, nope, that clarifies the question I have. I think it clarifies the record as well. Thanks, Bruce.
Thank you. Okay, all in favor?
Okay.
Any opposed? Okay, this will go then to city council in a couple of weeks and go forward. Okay, thank you very much.
It'll be the 25th.
Oh, that's right, because the meetings are later.
Uh,
Yeah.
Most of staff will be out of the office
Yeah,
on
okay.
the second week, third
So,
week.
It'll
So
be an
look at the
extra week this
25th
time.
that
That's
you're
right.
on City council of June.
Okay, and that also affects our June 19th meeting. It'll be moved till the 26th because everybody's going to AIC, I imagine. And at this point, there's nothing for that particular thing. Okay, anything else that anyone has? You, Alan, anything? We good? Okay, all right, we will stand adjourned. Thank you so much. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate your
Thanks, Spencer.
participation.